Hello.
Hello.
We're back. It's been a hot second.
Yep. I'm looking
Um,
at it to see who's here. Hello, hello.
I think our last live episode was early December and it is now early March.
Mm-hmm. That would make
Uh,
sense. Yeah.
yeah, but there have been some pre-recorded episodes. There's been some other stuff. We also all lead very busy lives.
Yeah.
And so we all needed some time. We were all dealing with some stuff. We're
Yep.
back.
Yeah, we are. All right. Looking to see. Well,
Good
hello.
evening.
Good evening. Can you see us well? It's been
So
too long.
the funny thing is, Mac now has on the newest iOS update, it gives me like a ring light if it thinks I'm too dark.
Hmm.
And so all around my screen, I have this border ring light because, iOS thinks it's too dark for me to be filming this.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, all right. All right. So if people are wondering, Kari is she's just doing her stuff. She's probably not gonna join us, but she might join us late.
she might
But
join us.
yeah, we
Car
don't know.
Kari's doing life.
She's doing live.
Uh,
There you go.
she's doing life. And you and I sort of wanted to host an episode. There's stuff to
Hmm.
talk about, there's stuff to catch up on. There are pens to catch up on,
Hmm.
and I am very excited to get back into it. I've missed it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So what also reminds me, a new old thing that happened to me, because Gizmo Geek is here, is I
Ooh.
rejoined the Atlas Discord because I left it some time ago.
I'm gonna be so honest here. I have Discord on my phone. I have Discord on my laptop. I don't think I've opened Discord in like 8 weeks.
Hmm.
The issue is I find it so overwhelming. There are so many channels, there are so many things going on. I open it, I get confused, I close the app.
Yeah, I mean that's why I quit the first time, because I talked to some friends, and then I have a couple of channels that are hobby related,
Mhm.
and Atlas is a little overwhelming.
That's fair.
But I sort of wanted to stay in the loop, so I joined again. But you also can mute some stuff, so that's there too.
I think I need to get better at muting stuff on Atlas Discord. I think my issue is I get tagged in everyone so often, and it starts to overwhelm me and it starts to make me stressed out. And so then I just like turn off notifications for the app and abandon it.
Mm-hmm.
And then next time I open it, it's like you have 400 notifications and I'm like, I cannot deal with this. Let us close the app again.
Yep. And then you get the big red ones that are at everyone, and I'm like, ooh.
I find it so annoying when I get in some I don't know if it still does this, but when we used to have the affiliate channel, when we got an everyone tag, every once in a while it would also send me an email saying you
Mhm.
have been tagged on the Atlas Discord. But it wouldn't take me to the message when I clicked on the link. And I'm like, this is not a good system. This is a broken system.
Oh man, but apparently we're not the only ones. There are
Yes,
people here who feel the same way.
yes, the hatred, I don't know if it's a hatred of Discord or just like Discord is really overwhelming. And eventually I get so many tags on Discord that I find it really hard to tell what's important and what's not important.
Mm.
I have to say, I love the brands that send me like an email every like 3 weeks and go, here's all the new stuff. Like, don't make me follow a Discord. Don't make me do extra work
Mm-hmm.
and follow like having to be I guess extra work isn't the right way to phrase it. I'm happy to do extra work. I do not want to be tied onto another social media platform. I want all the information in one document that I can reference, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is
so
my
that's
feelings on Discord. I don't
that's
use it.
I mean, but also like we like manual stuff, you know, we are in this hobby. I'm not saying everyone who's in this hobby is the same way, but it sort of feels like a lot of people are into that kind of slower mode of things.
Yeah, and I think there are definitely, like, components of I've discovered that a lot of pen people are also mechanical keyboard people,
Mm.
and I only discovered this when I posted a picture of my desk setup a couple months ago, and I have my mom's old Mac keyboard, which is when I think it's from, like, 2005 as part of my desk setup, and I just like it because, like, when you press down the buttons, like, there's actual haptic feedback, so I know if I've pressed down a button or not. But, like, I have discovered that so many pen people are also mechanical keyboard people, and, like, it seems to pen people are so analog even in our techie components,
Yeah, I like that.
I find. Like, I'm currently trying to figure out how to get a Singer treadle sewing machine restored, because why? Why not? Why would I use a normal sewing machine when I could have a Singer treadle sewing machine?
Mm.
Yes, lots of us are watch people. I would say I'm a peripheral watch person. I can understand a nice watch. Um, I, though, wear an Apple Watch because 'cause it's got a heart rate monitor in it,
Mhm.
and I like, uh, knowing if I'm going to be alive or not.
Yeah, that's essential.
Yes. So, for now, an Apple Watch is still my friend,
Mm.
but I do like a good watch. There were some nice watches at Philly this year.
Mm.
There were
I
also some nice watches at Empire.
didn't notice any of the San Francisco, but San Francisco is just so much going on. And that leads me to the first thing is they're splitting it. If you guys didn't know, those who are here, they're splitting. So it's kind of easier on everyone.
Mhm.
And so San Francisco Stationery Fest is what they came up with. And that's going to be happening at the end of this month, which is 27th to 29th, with two workshops actually being on 26 on the evening of 26.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and the best, that's kind of what I liked is previously you could not getting into travelers workshop. Like it was not like it was so full
Mhm.
that you had to like you couldn't get a spot like months in advance.
Yeah,
And now it's like possible. They don't have any RSVPs. You can just come in.
that's amazing. So are they doing vendor setup, and stuff on the 26th as well?
That's a good question. I don't know. I just know that from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., you're able to go into one of the ballrooms and just, enjoy the traveler stuff. And well, they have the stamps, kind of the
Yeah.
caravan stuff. And just previously was just so much more complicated, I feel like, at the pen show. So we don't know how it's gonna go, but the hopes are high. And I think the Travelers is only coming to this one. They are not going to San Francisco Pen Show.
Yeah, I've heard that both them and Plotter are only doing this event. That
Yeah.
the organizers worked really hard on splitting it up, and it was like one or the other.
Hmm.
And so I'm really interested to see how it goes. And I don't think, honestly, I don't think we're going to know until September.
We don't know. And I kind of went through the vendor list. I think they finalized it maybe not even today. They might still finalize it tomorrow or something. But when I went through it like 2-3 days ago, I was also interested to see, was it his name? Papermine Blake's broadcast. I don't
Yep.
think he's doing San Francisco Pen Show because he has a lot of paper products. So it looks like he's going to be at San Francisco Stationery Fest as well, which was interesting because like they already have some vendors listed for San Francisco pen show as well,
It's
and they
quite
match.
it's quite a long vendor list.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I looked at it, there was barely anyone up.
Yeah,
And
they're really,
now
really working on it.
it's a massive vendor list.
So I met the organizers on Sunday
Hmm.
because they came to our pen club that was at the Rickshaw store and factory in San Francisco. And it was really fun. Like they're really, really passionate about it. I mean, these are the same people that do the pen show.
Yeah.
So, but the person in charge, she's great. She's so into the watercolors, and it was just very fun. And she was like, "You have to come, you have to come." So I ended up being vending
You are vending,
together.
which is so exciting.
Yeah, together with Galen from Pendulum. So it's going to be fun. Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm kind of plugging it in, but I think it's also kind of a good idea from based on my first experience at the pen show. It was just very, very intense. And I feel like people enjoyed it, but I feel like for people to enjoy it more, let's be honest, there are people who are there only for travelers.
Yeah.
You have to split it.
Hmm.
So that's where we at. Yeah. And so hopefully some of you come out, but it's probably hard if you're not in the Bay Area at this point to plan it, but we'll see how it goes. And hopefully next year is going to be even bigger.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see because there are other shows that could be spun out into two events. And so it's interesting to see San Francisco doing it because it's sort of a test. Like, is the pen world willing to attend two events a year in the same city?
Mm-hmm.
Which no one else does.
Well, I'll tell you, it's also time wise. I think it is better. So right now it's scheduled for the end of the spring break,
Hmm.
which is great. And the problem is, as we've talked with Kari before, the problem she always wanted to go, she can't because this is the beginning of school year for a lot of people, especially teachers. So I think
Yeah,
it's good in that sense too.
especially here because schools go back after Labor Day.
Yeah,
They go
I
back
mean
the Tuesday after Labor Day. And
they
so
they
it,
start early here too sometimes. So
yeah, kids here go back mid-September, like early September. So it would be honestly though, by the time we get to that point in the summer, there have been so many shows back to back to back
mm-hmm.
that I think flying to the West Coast feels like a lot if you're an East Coaster.
That's
Like
what I thought.
like
But I
if
saw a lot of people flying in, and I was surprised.
yeah, I'm just thinking like if you've done DC, if you've done Stationery Fest at Yoseka,
Oh, that's right. That's what's going to happen this year. Uh huh. Yeah, they're bringing that back.
like DC has moved a week. Yoseka's taken the DC weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So DC's a week later, which has it right up against the Atlas sidewalk sale.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a week off before San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a show a week in July.
Potentially, yeah. No, because there is what north. What is it?
There's
The Portland
Portland,
one. Mm-hmm.
there's Miami, there's Yoseka. So maybe not one a week, but we've got 3 shows in July at least. And so I think by the time we get to early September, people are going to be tired. Like I was looking at like the big vendors who are putting out their lists, and it seems small this year for where people are attending.
Hmm.
Like there are some people still attending everywhere. But I think when Pilot put out their list, they only had 6 shows on it.
Yeah, and I feel like this is kind of makes me a little worried for smaller shows.
I think Naval or Omos did the same thing when they released their list of shows. It's got like maybe 7. And so I think we are going to see like those smaller shows. They're probably mostly going to become makers and resellers, which is what this year happened at Philly.
Mm-hmm.
It was about 70% resellers,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone else was small shops, or I guess Tasha was there, Kenro was there, but it was mostly resellers,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't a bad thing. It just changes the dynamic of a pen show.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is a great time to buy secondhand right now. I've seen stuff I haven't seen before. It
I
is.
saw, yeah,
Yeah.
I bought stuff today that I've never seen before. I very rarely buy pens at auction,
Mm-hmm.
like very rarely. But we have a local auction house, and every once in a while pens show up, and I sort of always go back and forth, like, do I want to go see them in person, or am I fine with not seeing them? And sometimes I want to see them just because they're a cool piece of history. And sometimes they're just a pen that I've heard talked about on 20 Questions a bunch, and I've never seen in person. And so I see it in person, and that settles any curiosity I have about the pen. This week, though, they had a bunch of Parker 45s, and a
Mm.
lot just labeled Parker and more.
Mystery.
Mystery. And from the photos, I couldn't identify what the pens were. And so we decided we were going to go up, and I looked at them, and most of the pens were okay. 2 of the pens were not okay and are
Mm.
going to need work slash are only worth as much as their nibs are to somebody who franken pens, really. But I was really just interested in the 45s.
Mm-hmm.
45s are my jam, as people know, and I had several. I have less now because I bought some last summer to use as donor parts for pens, and I've had to use them as donor parts for other 45s. So what I really was doing was bidding on 45s so that I had parts for 45s. It's a circle, which is
Mm-hmm.
just being able to repair my 45s.
Yeah, that's fair.
The thing is, 2 of the nibs were gold on the 45s, which is getting rarer.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 of the nibs didn't have the sizes marked on their like little band that a 45 normally has. There's normally this little black band and it's got a size marking on it. Well, that little band was missing on 2 of these pens. So I already know they're going to need parts, but I have those parts.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't pull the nibs, but I looked at them with a loop. And I'm pretty sure one's a broad. And I'm
Which is not that broad for a vintage
which is
pen.
not that broad for a vintage pen, but when all your other Parker 45s are fines and extra fines,
Mm-hmm.
that's a big change. And so we pick them up, I think, in a couple days, and I'm very interested to play with them. And then the rest are vintage Estabrooks in the most awful color on earth. They are like hospital scrub green.
Mm.
And so I need to get my hands on a vintage nib adapter because I don't know that mentally I can write with a pen that is hospital scrub green. But I am now the proud owner of 3 vintage Estabrooks. The funny thing is they all have I'm so used to seeing Esterbrook lots of vintage
Mhm.
Estabrooks where they all have the same nib code, where it's a person that, like, very much only liked one sort of nib. It's how I tend to see Esterbrook lots here. And whoever owned these pens, that was not their style.
Mhm.
Because every single Esterbrook has a different nib code on it,
Mhm.
and I know nothing about the Esterbrook nib codes. So I'm going to have to do some research and figure out what nibs are actually on these pens because I know nothing when it comes to the vintage Esterbrook nibs, other than the fact that the couple I've tried at shows I've really liked, and that was
Mhm.
enough for me to buy this lot of pens.
Yeah,
So
and that's where we come to me telling you, because I've never told you, I'm actually after a somewhat rare Esterbrook that was made in the UK and has a 14K gold nib. Those
I
exist.
I
Not
I
a
I
lot
will
of them.
send you pictures of what I've got, and
All
you can
right.
let me know, because I have bought this lot, and other than the fact that I know that the celluloid pen needs a new sack, but the celluloid is cracked, and so I don't think it's worth getting it resacked. I'm just gonna take it to somebody, probably Mike, and go, "Can you take this back to your workshop and pull the nib for me and put it in something else?" Um, Other than that, like, I knew enough to it was one of those moments that I was like, "I know enough to identify what I'm looking at." I do not know enough to put a dollar estimate on what I was looking at, other than knowing how much I pay at a pen show for my Parker 45s I use for parts.
Mhm.
And so that is what I based my entire bid around, was how much do I pay for my part pens at shows? And this is 3 of them sitting in front of me, and I don't have to track them down at a pen show. And they've got gold nibs. So expect a video on that at some point, because
Nice.
actually probably expect many videos. I'm going to milk this for content. There's going to be so many videos on these pens because Um, they're also weird colors of 45s.
Hmm.
They aren't colors that I'd seen before. They're colors that I've seen in Parker catalogs before, like ads when I look at them online. They're never colors I've seen at a pen show before. Um, the funny thing is they actually match the 2 Schaefer snorkels I have.
Nice.
One is pale blue gray and one is electric green. So
Ooh.
they will be coming home at some point, and I actually have to remember to take a pen case when I go to pick them up.
Mhm.
Because right now they're just, like, sitting loose in a box, and I'm like, this is not how they're coming home."
It's very exciting, though.
It
Congrats.
is. It's been a while since I've bought pens in an estate sale or an auction. I don't do it all that often. I wanna say the last time I did it was sometime in 2024.
Mhm.
Um 'Cause I bid on stuff fairly frequently, but sometimes stuff goes really high,
Mhm.
um, and there are people that buy pens as soon as they see it has a gold nib, they buy the pen just for the nib, and just to take the nib out of the pen to sell the gold for scrap. And so if it's a lot of pens, sometimes that's what happens.
Mm.
The funniest was last year, there was a lot of celluloid pens that I really liked because I liked uh, the models that they were and everything, but all but one needed to be resacked. And this was like 6 pens, and they're lever fillers, and they're lever filler celluloids, and they're going to be so expensive to get resacked. Like, I think I paid like $75 to get my last one resacked. And
Mm.
so I'm looking at $600 in getting pens resacked before they can be used.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so this what is a reasonable number in my head for these pens? And I'm like, $75. If I get these pens for $75, then like over the next couple of years, I will decide which I want to fix and which I don't want to fix.
Mm-hmm.
And they went for like $700.
Oh
And I'm
wow.
like, clearly whoever bought them did not know. Because also the models of pens don't resell for that much money.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly you just didn't know. And now you've bought a whole bunch of stuff you can't use.
Yeah.
So my advice when buying things secondhand is, especially at an auction, is always go see it in person if possible, because listings are never complete.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with vintage pens specifically because it's also, I feel like the big mistake that people make is they don't realize the vintage pens are smaller and a lot of times much smaller than the modern pens.
Yeah.
That's one. If you've never seen them in person, definitely see them in person.
Mhm.
And that's like, I feel like that's the most common mistake. I see people receiving pens they bought, from a restorer or something, and they're like, this is so small. Well,
Honestly, I couldn't get over how small the Estabrooks felt in my hand.
mm-hmm.
They were only a little bit bigger than a JR. They're awful colors, but they're only a little bit bigger than a JR. But they've got a full-size nib in them, unlike a JR does. And so it was just this really interesting thing, especially because like the listing did not mention that the celluloid was cracked and had a massive chip about this long out of the side of it. So unless you go see things in person, you
Mm-hmm.
have no way of knowing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, vintage pens. Like that's what for me, that's what I enjoyed. I feel like I'm sure I enjoyed the pen show in general, my first one. But I feel like that was the most educational was seeing those vintage pens.
I feel like I always get the best education out of the vintage crowd at a pen show. Somebody left a comment on a video that I think I responded to. I might not have yet. But they said, I have a lever filler, but I'm really intimidated to ink it up. And my response was, I was super intimidated to ink up any of my vintage pens. And then I sat down with one of the vintage resellers at a pen show, and they walked me through how to ink them up properly.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, no one in the pen world knew who I was. It was Chicago 2024, and I got a lesson in how to ink vintage pens properly.
Mm.
Lever fillers and snorkels, because the reality is they all want people to use these pens and not be afraid of using these pens,
Right.
but they are intimidating to use. And I think it's really important that if you have questions, ask the questions. Ask, how does this thing work? Because I find it so much easier to like look at a pen and understand a pen when I know how the mechanism works.
Mm-hmm.
the fear is removed, and as soon as the fear is removed, you just get to enjoy the hobby.
Yeah, I still have not actually tried a snorkel pen, so you'll have to teach me that.
So one of my snorkels has to go back in for repair.
Mm.
I went to clean it, and all of a sudden, like, the snorkel, like, sort of just fell out. I was like, "Scott, I need to send this back to you."
Mm.
So, I need
That's
to.
also vintage pens for you.
Yeah. My rule has become for the most part, I'm only buying vintage I can fix myself.
Hmm.
Um, and luckily, there are some lovely people in the community that taught me how to do tear downs on things like a Parker.
Yeah.
And so I am perfectly comfortable. When my aunt bought a Parker 45 at an auction or at a consignment store last year, and it came to my desk, and she went, "I want to ink this." And I opened the pen, and I discovered that the pen had no internals, the plastic had shrunk, and really the only good part of the pen was the nib. The housing around the nib wasn't even good,
Oh no.
because the little feed part, as soon as I put it in water, like, it dissolved. So I like having pens I can fix myself, and I appreciate the fact that I have restorer friends in the community that have taught me the skills to be able to do a tear down on a pen, because I would say as soon as you have, like, a base level of skills, your confidence really increases, and
Mm.
they just become less intimidating. But I also now pretty much only buy vintage I know how to tear down myself, because if I'm gonna own it, I better know how to fix it.
Yeah.
And
No.
there are some things that I don't. There are some
Yeah.
things that, like, if they acted up, like my Visconti, I would just talk to
Mhm.
Coles of London and send it in. But if I can fix it myself, I wanna be able to fix it myself, and a Parker 45, I find, is probably the easiest pen to fix yourself.
Yeah.
It is very user-friendly for taking apart and tearing all the way down and then putting back together.
Yeah, no, it's like whenever I watch some of the restorers, it's like some of the stuff. Well, a lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them stick with one brand because you sort of learn how to work with that and you
Mhm.
sort of go that way. So it's very fascinating just to see them, especially with the celluloid, working with celluloid pens.
Yeah, there are so many cool things people do with celluloid, and based on mom's newest Franken pen that she got at Philly, her Conklin, with a Spanish nib on it, question mark.
Ooh.
Um, there are people in the industry where I would go to them and say, "I have this old celluloid pen that is broken. Can you
Hmm.
put this nib on something else?" And I know that they have the skills to do it. So, I think that's probably gonna be what happens with one of these pens. But I try not to buy things that I don't know how to fix.
Hmm.
And I've also really moved away from buying celluloid. I find it to be more troubling than it's worth. It
Yeah.
requires too much babying.
Yeah, there is one pen that I don't believe I will part with, and I think I will invest as much as I can if I need to,
Mhm,
which is my Minerva. And
mhm.
it's oversized, which is closer to a normal pen size, which is great. It's also the best flex out there that I have at least. And the other thing, there's this guy, I love that so much. Every time I come to the pen club, he asks if I still have it and if I will sell it to him.
The funny thing is, even before you said your Minerva, in my head I went, "It's her Minerva." Because there is honestly, when I think about your pen collection, it is probably one of the first pens I think of,
Hmm.
because it is such a you pen, and you're always so happy to talk about it that I'm like, if she was gonna dump a bunch of money into a pen,
Yeah,
that
that's
is the pen.
one. That's the only one.
That is the pen we would dump a bunch of money into.
Yep, you know me. Yeah, I even know if I have to repair it. I even know there's a guy in Florence who does repairs, and
Of course
Italians.
you do.
So, so I'm going there if I have to.
The fact that you already have your, like, person planned out, but to be fair, I only send my repairs to one person, so my pens go to 15 Pens Scott Newman, and that's about it. Mostly
Nice.
because he's local-ish. There are very few Canadian pen restorers,
Aw.
and Scott does a pretty good job. Actually, Scott does a very good job and is always lovely to work with.
I feel like if I was a little bit more technical, I mean, it's not off the table, but I could learn and I could kind of do that too. But takes a
Ap
while.
ap Apparently, anywhere in the world, Marina knows a person, and I can't argue with this.
I don't know. I think that's you're confusing me with Yoast.
That is true. Um, I think yeah, it's I keep saying to people, like, the pen world's not that big. Um, I was having a conversation with somebody, I think at Philly, and they were, like, talking about somebody without mentioning their last name, and then I was like, "Oh, you're talking about so and so," and they were like, "Yeah." It's like, the world is very small. There aren't that many pens like, there are a lot of small pen shops, there aren't that many big pen shops. There aren't that many, um, people with massive pen collections that talk about having massive pen collections, and so eventually you just sort of start to get to know people.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like there will be people who will keep those collections to themselves, but it would still kind of slip through the cracks at some point.
Yeah, there are definitely based on just, like, the conversations I've had with people, there are AP limited collectors, who have massive AP limited collections, and I cannot think of any off the top of my head, but I know they exist.
Hmm.
And so it's interesting, like, we're in an industry that's not actually all that big and very niche.
Hmm.
I think I sometimes forget how niche it is, and then, I'm reminded that actually we are a very niche industry, and most people know Pilot because of their gel pens,
Hmm.
not because of Arushi beautiful Namiki things.
Yeah. I feel like Lamy too. It's like some minor stuff. It's not really fountain pens. Well, yeah, unless you are a kid in Germany or Netherlands or Finland.
The
But
number of non-fountain pen friends I have that were talking about the Lamy, like, tablet pencil was crazy to me because I was like, "Oh, it's their fountain pen, but they've made a tablet version." And I had so many non-pen friends going, "It's a competitor for Apple." And I'm like, "It's a fountain pen company diversifying."
yeah. Wow, fountain pen company who was they bought by a Japanese company? I think so. Recently.
Um, Apparently, it's actually a great pen.
All right. Oh, Bart here. Hello,
Bart's here.
Bart.
I think Bart is on his way to, oh, what pen show is it this weekend? It starts with a B. I keep wanting to say it's Boston, and
Baltimore?
it's not it's Baltimore.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
keep
saw Dorky post. She was looking. I think she's like really been bitten by the bug, so she goes to all of them now.
Well, she can commute on Amtrak.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yep.
have to say, like, if I didn't have to fly or be in a car for a bunch of hours, but Baltimore is far. Yeah, so Uni has bought Lonnie.
Yeah. All right.
Apparently they've just launched the Apple version of the Smart Pen. Yeah.
Let's hope it's good.
If they want to send me one, I'll test it out.
There you go.
But I've been pretty public about my dislike of the pens. I am so jealous that it is a short flight. It is like, I think by it, like, because it's from Canada, it's an international, and so we have to be at the airport 2.5 hours in advance. And then it's like a 2-hour flight. And then you still have to clear US customs potentially on the US side.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time we just like get there, it's like a 5 to 6 hour travel day, as long as there have been no delays anywhere. Nothing is a short flight if you're commuting from Canada to the US.
Or from outside, just generally from outside the country.
Yeah.
Just how life is. But I kind of spilled my tea on the spicy topic that I wrote down for. We might wait for Kari. We might discuss
I'm like,
it.
what topic did we?
The gatekeeping.
Oh, yeah.
I think Hemingway Jones sort of talked about it once in his life. I think so. And then you and I talked because you received an interesting comment.
I did receive an interesting comment. So spilling the tea before spilling the tea. Yeah, here's the thing. It's Wednesday. I have a brain injury. And it's like 8:30. Actually, it's like 8:45. I'm tired. And we're just like going off of vibes. So I made an unboxing video. Dad has been in the States for a conference, and I had shipped an Atlas affiliate order with the final little bit of my credit to Claire, who was holding on to it until she saw me at a pen show at some point. Except I honestly have no idea what my pen show schedule is going to be. And so when it became clear that I had no idea what my pen show schedule was going to be, and Dad was going to be down in the States, Claire and I decided that the package was actually just going to go to Dad's hotel. And then a snowstorm hit the East Coast, and like Dad had to go track down a small town post office. It was a whole ordeal. And I promise that I won't do it again. We'll see how long that sticks for. But one of the things I got in that package was a Schaefer Legacy. Because I had seen it when shopping on Atlas. It had only just been released. And I hadn't really heard much about it, other than the fact that a couple people were talking about the fact that they were re-releasing this old version of a Schaefer pen. And I love old Schaefers. I have many of them. I have three. I have 2 pens and a pencil. And so I was like, you know what? We're going to buy this pen and we'll see how it is. There have been re-releases from other brands over the years, And sometimes we see legacy brands come back really well, sometimes we see legacy brands come back less well. And it's rare, though, to see a design re-released from a legacy brand after new ownership. I can't actually think of many pen models that have been re-released after a stretch of time. And what I was really impressed by was it came in a very nice pen sleeve, it came in very nice packaging, and it came in a very pretty box with a leather pen
Mhm.
sleeve where the tray lifts out and it's got everything you need underneath and an information booklet. And I was really happy because this is just over $200. And there are a lot of really expensive pens that don't
Especially
come with
now.
this, especially now, that don't come with this sort of presentation. And I was like, it's a $200 pen that it's really the first set that I've seen in the past 18, I guess. The Conklin Jonathan Brooks collab is giftable.
Mhm.
It comes in a very nice presentation box, but the really nice giftable presentation box are sort of disappearing from the industry.
Mhm.
And if you're spending this much money on a pen and you want the ability to gift it to somebody, it's sort of important that the packaging reflects the product. So I was really happy. I'm not in love with how the pen writes. It's supposed to be a medium. It writes like a double broad, but you can get nibs ground down into smaller sizes, and I plan to, or potentially into an architect. I have yet to decide. But it's a lovely pen. What I did not expect was the controversy this pen was going to cause. Because Schaefers are now made in India.
Well,
Scha
I think some of them are made, some of them are made in China, but this is what
I
makes them more affordable.
exactly. This one actually doesn't say where it was made. It didn't say on the pen sleeve either. Um, but Schaefers are now made in India. Schaefers are owned by an Indian.
Mhm.
Why would I be talking about a pen that is made by this brand? And
Mhm.
I'm gonna be honest, I sent it to you and went, WTF?
Mhm.
Because I don't consider that when I buy a pen. I've made a response video. I have 3 things I consider. Is the pen a direct ripoff of another brand's pen? I can't actually remember all the others, but that's, like, the biggest one in my brain,
Mhm.
is the pen a direct ripoff of another brand's pen? If not, go to whatever number 2 is, and then go to whatever number 3 is. You know, I don't care all that much. It's not that important to me, and I would much rather a brand be owned by somebody who loves the brand and respects the heritage of the brand than someone who doesn't.
Yeah, so to that point, I've seen the interview that the brand owner has had with Yoast, and he's very, very likable. He's very excited about the brand. He went to see the family that owned Schaefer before in the US, and they really got along great. And there was just a lot of love, you know.
It
And why
it's a
not?
and you can genuinely tell he loves Schaefer. And I got a lot of quite positive feedback on the video because lots of people did not know that the product was made in India, or it was now owned by an Indian, um, family.
Yeah,
There like,
I think
it isn't
family.
quite clear on the structure if it's an individual or a family.
Mhm.
Um, but there was one person that took great offense, um, to the fact that I was, claiming that America is not interconnected. I am a Canadian. The past 15 months have been rough,
Mhm.
and there is, I don't think, any factual way for an American to claim that, uh, America is still trying to remain totally interconnected to the rest of the world.
There are two good videos on that if you can actually make a fountain pen entirely in the US. And one of them is actually your interview with Rob and his perspective as a small maker.
Yeah.
And he even like kind of broke down the costs and stuff like that. And another one is our friend Stephen is Barry Brown, who had
Hmm.
dedicated video. Is it impossible to produce fountain pen entirely in the US?
And there's no resin manufacturing in the US. There's no large scale nib manufacturing in the US. No one is making their own converters in the US. All of the supplies makers are using, like gloves and stir sticks and mica powders and all of that stuff, that is coming from overseas.
Right.
There is a 2-hour long interview where I talk about that with a maker, or you can just like take my word for it that the pen world is far more interconnected than most people realize, and uh, deciding that a pen brand isn't worth your time because of the place where they're manufactured is probably going to make the list of pen brands you buy from pretty small, because most brands are getting their inputs from China.
I'm pretty sure, even if we don't talk about the US, and that was like one of the things that people are a little disappointed when it comes to Yardo lead, they don't produce their own nibs. They're probably German.
They're Bach.
So it's not made in the UK. So it's not only, exclusive in that sense to the US. It's just not really a possibility of making everything in one
There
country.
there are almost no individual brands making their own nibs these days. Most people are jumping between not Schmidt, between Bach and Yovo. I don't know why Schmidt has lost such a large share of the market. A lot of brands that were with Schmidt seem to be moving away from Schmidt,
Mhm.
and it's an interesting uh, thing to watch. I was working on something recently that had me digging into nibs a bunch, and so I spent a lot of time looking at nibs and brands, and basically what I discovered is Bach makes nibs to specific sizes. So that's why you pretty much can't buy spare Bach nibs,
Mhm.
because Bach pretty much makes a different nib and a different feed and a different housing for every single company.
Yeah. I'm also trying to remember. I think was it Scribo that had their dedicated machine also with Bach? I don't remember, but there are like those very dedicated kind of nibs that are sort of in house. They are in house, but they're not. They're like made specifically for them and then done in house, like finished in house. And I think that's also another thing that people don't quite know much about.
Yeah, I think it's Scribo. I think we hear a lot about, like, who's making their own nibs, and I've come to realize that I've come to discover that I think a lot of people are finishing their own nibs, or their nibs are being made to a specific specification by a
Mhm.
brand,
And it's
but
exclusive to them, and no one
it
else does that.
it
Yeah.
yeah, it's exclusive to them and no one else, but pretty much no one is making, uh, nibs in-house. It's really small, and it's mostly in the Japanese market.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was a good question just now.
Yes. Is there any reason why they're moving away from Schmidt? I love them in my Benus. I couldn't actually find an answer to this. Just in all of the digging I was doing, a lot of brands, or a lot of the resources I was looking at said, was Schmidt now Bach, or was Schmidt now Yovo? And so it seems like Benu's still sticking with them. But even on hand-turned pens, I
Mhm.
don't ever see them as an option. It's
Mm.
always Bach or Yovo, and normally it's just Yovo.
Mhm.
And so I do wish we were not heading towards a single sort of place for, hand-turned pens. It really seems like we're sort of narrowing down to Yovos, but a lot of the Bach nibs I've tried over the years have been Bach nibs have to be finished well.
Mhm.
I've had far more bad Bach nibs than I've had Yovo nibs.
Yeah, I agree. For me, they're just incredibly stiff.
Yes.
Terrible.
I'm thinking about how tight tines are on Kaweco nibs. Kaweco
Yep.
nibs are Bach, and they're notoriously tight. And yes, you can fix that with a brass sheet, but still, they're notoriously tight. And then you've got things like, um, my Papa J pen, which I love the pen, but when I got it, I knew that I was going to end up doing something to the nib because I don't love how an unfinished Bach feels, or an untuned. Let's call it untuned because it is a finished nib. It's got the tipping, it's got everything.
Mhm.
It's just not perfectly tuned. It's not it doesn't feel correct.
Yeah.
Um, so do we need a global nib size standard so that we're able to switch them into any pens?
No.
No. And I would say technically we do have size standards.
Yeah.
We've got 5, 5.5, 6, 8, and 10, and those are the millimeter of something. Honestly, I never remember. Um, but feeds and housings, and that is all normally proprietary to a brand. I have 5 I think I have 5 different Yovos that have 5 different feed and housing combinations, where for the most part, the nib looks the same, just depending on the specifications of the brand, they look totally different. I do wish that, um, when you bought a Yovo, it was always the same feed and housing.
Hmm.
Uh, it does bug me that I can't put, an Esterbrook specialty grind into a Monteverde pen without pulling the nibs and feeds from both of them and swapping everything around. They're both Yovo pens. I wanna be able to put the stuff in both pens. But that is not the world we live in.
No.
And so, instead, it's just a lot of switching parts.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just frustrating for those just getting into the hobby to learn all the feed name housing conventions. Yes, and that's also going just back to that gatekeeping situation. That's what also like what our conversation turned into was me saying that it's really is it's my personal experience of the community is that everyone's just very welcoming. If you have like a Arco Omas Arco for like
Mhm.
2000 or that usually that user collector of the pen will be happy to help you and you have like the cheapest Kaveco, or Twisby or something.
Mhm.
So that's my usual experience, but sometimes we do have the gatekeepy purist situation that you kind of had an experience with. And that was my whole idea. I was like, I don't, it kind of discourages young whatever users, from going into the hobby, especially now when things are so expensive. And it's like, yes, you will probably get your first pen made in China. just because that's probably the most affordable one.
Yeah. So this is interesting. Leonardo's in-house nibs are made on Yovo machines.
Yes, but
So,
finished in house.
but so this is specifically about their in-house nibs because Leonardo does not make all their nibs in-house.
No, only
Leonardo
La
only
Fenice.
makes some of their nibs in-house.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did
Yeah.
not know that their in-house nibs were being made on Yovo machines.
Yes, La Fenice. The only thing is that they're like specific engraving, and it is finished in house, but it's Yovo. Yeah.
Mhm. Apparently, a Kaweco Sport nib, even though it's a Bach style collar, Bach, Yovo, and Schmidt all make the nibs to the same standard. This is interesting because when I was doing all my research, I had heard that only Bach was making the nibs now.
Mm.
So I'm gonna have to dig into this more and see who, if Yovo and Schmidt are still making nibs for them. But yeah, it is interesting that like they were all made to the same specifications where it was really hard to tell who made what nibs. The frustrating thing is, um, I think I do know which of mine are Bach because I have some where the nibs have consistently needed work.
Mm-hmm.
All of my newer ones have consistently needed just a little bit of time with a brass sheet just to like stretch out the tines a little bit. Um, there are some great charts out there, and I would highly recommend the Gold Spot blog because there's pretty much a blog post for everything. And things get updated fairly quickly.
And then there's a
When
response from someone who's been at it for a while, that they still need one.
yeah, things get updated fairly quickly. I think it's sort of like a 2-3 year rotation on topics, and so I've actually already started on my 2026 topics, and things should start to come out in the next couple of days. But then the other really good place to look is the Gale and Leather has a shockingly good blog.
Mm.
And they have, let me see if I can find it. Nib chart. That is not what I want. They have a blog post all about what nibs fit in what pens and who makes their nibs where.
That's great. Yeah, I would not expect them to have it.
No, they've got honestly, they have some of like my favorite reference blogs in the industry. They have a comprehensive brand guide of the top 50 brands in the industry. They have guides about all about paper sizing. 63 of the best custom pen makers from around the world. I think that the blogs on pen websites are probably one of the most underrated things. I don't know what Atlas is doing on theirs these days, but like there are so many good blogs in the pen world
Mm-hmm.
from stores because there's such technical information that unless you're getting hundreds of pens in front of you every couple weeks, there's no way to know everything.
Yeah, no, I agree. But that's also what makes the hobby so interesting because you keep on discovering new things all the time.
Always. I rarely don't learn something in this hobby, and I pretty much learn something every day. Like, there is almost never a day that goes by where I don't learn Oh, apparently it was actually in the comprehensive pen brands list that has all their nib information. It's a very helpful and overwhelming chart. I would not try and look at it on a phone, look at
No.
it on a laptop or a secondary screen big,
Yeah.
um, because it
Oh,
breaks down if brands are still around, what their general price range is, where they're based.
yeah, I'll take a look at it after.
It
Yeah.
doesn't say where pens are manufactured, so if that's something you care about, that is not in this list, and then at the bottom, it has a blurb talking about each of the pens. Jet pens is a great place for writing samples. This is true. I frequently will look at jet pens if I want, a writing sample, or if I'm trying to identify a specific color of marker or a pen that I don't know what color it was. There are some things like secure jelly rolls that don't have color names on them, and so if I've used a pen, I will then go to the Jet Pens website to figure out what color I used, because they have the most accurate color swatches I find out of anyone.
They were the ones, I think, the first ones to also carry Bungo Box inks. I think
I
so.
think so. They still carry Bungu Box inks. I just don't love them enough to pay that much for shipping. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
no, no, no. That's something, again, that's something to look at and purchase for me at the show.
And if you wanna do it early, because I waited until, I think, day 2 of Washington, and they were sold out of what I wanted.
Oh yeah. No, no. That was gone in the first day, I think.
And I like the one I have, it's just not what I would have gotten.
I think their most popular is like purple potato, something like that.
I think the color that I wanted was something witch,
Mm-hmm.
um,
That looked good.
and instead I have pencil something. I should
Yes.
have just gotten Cinderella, let's be
Oh.
honest. I should
Mm-hmm.
have gotten Cinderella. I didn't get Cinderella because I thought I have too many of the same inks as color. I have not used the ink I got, and I spent too much money on it to never use it.
Those are expensive even before the prices went up. Like those are one of the most expensive inks I think out
S
there.
Sorry, I got Melancholy Gray. When as much as I love a gray, every time I think of its name, I go, "This is just too depressing.
Aww.
I am not never going to ink this up." That being said, their bottles are really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
love their bottles, and I love their boxes, but JetPens actually still has some still on the website for 45.
Yeah.
They have some pre-price increase
I know. And
on the
they're
website.
on par with Mont Blanc inks.
Mont Blanc inks just went up here again. They are now, a every day is 45
Mm-hmm.
and a limited edition is now 70
Yeah. Canadian dollars, right?
Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
Like, and every day went from 36 to 45. Sh Sure, but that's still $9. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But a limited edition went up by 20. They went from 50 to 70.
Yeah, and then you don't want to know the weird scented ones. Those are crazy prices. I was like, I'm never gonna
It's li
buy.
I think the scented one here was like 170,
Yeah.
and I was like, "But why?"
Mm. No, I do. I feel like a lot of people are not into them. I really feel like just the risk with such stuff is a little bit too high, as in, like, we know the scented inks. A, you might not like the scent.
Yeah.
B, it will probably feather just because it has to be a slightly different formulation. And it's also like literally almost twice the cost, I think, from their limited editions. And it's just, but it's also a bigger bottle, but still.
It's a bigger bottle. It's a 100 ml bottle. But the thing is, had the limited editions gone up to 60,
Hmm.
I could have justified that. It is a 50 milliliter bottle for $60. Price per mil is still a lot less than lots of other brands.
Right.
Like, I remember people saying Mont Blanc inks were so expensive, and yet compared to the like other inks I was buying, price per mil was like on par or less than what I was already buying.
Hmm.
But it's really hard to justify that bottle of ink going up by $20.
Right.
Price per mil still isn't bad. It's, you know, $1.20 a milliliter. But I'm like, but you used to be $1 a milliliter.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the regular inks I like, and I would just like that is what I would. I mean, obviously, I review the special editions. I like
yeah.
them. So I'm probably gonna. I kind of swore off buying reds because I can't stand them anymore. It's just been too many reds
They've
from
done too
online.
many reds.
But I'll
I
tell
would
you
like
what,
them to come out with a new everyday color.
and I will tell you what, horse red I think is one of the few reds they've had that are not. It's not a dry ink. It's
Ooh.
really good. So I'm like advocating if you can still find it, get it. Because the newest one is freaking dry. The Romeo and Juliet is dry. And it's very red. And it's like some people like it, some don't. But I was just like, I looked at it and I was like, I got it for the old price. So before any
No.
increases.
Yeah.
So like I'm happy I did. But if I look in my collection, it's probably one of those inks that's probably gonna get sold at some point in life. Um, yeah, and it's too many reds. Honestly, too many reds.
It's too many reds.
I hope it's going to be less, but it's unlikely because they're doing the Dracula author thing, and that's probably going to be red. It's going to be another red ink. And Star Walker is coming out again this year, and it's going to be some sort of red resin, which means red ink. So it's just I don't know if I'm gonna buy another red ink. I was like, I'm done with this. It's like most of those inks are dry and red, and I don't want that.
Yeah,
There you
I'm on the website right now, and I'm like, the only colors of everyday ink that I don't have are manganese orange,
go. Hmm.
Moderna red,
Yeah, Modena is like very red as well. Mm.
and that's it, other than the two waterproof ones. I don't use orange enough to justify having the orange.
Yeah.
And I like a true red, not an orangey red. What I need them to do is come out with they used to have like an aqua blue pen
Hmm.
refill for roller balls, I believe.
It was what did they call it? There was some exotic name to it, like some sort of island. I don't
I'm
remember,
looking.
but I know exactly which one you're talking about. That was good.
Barbados blue.
There you go, Barbados.
Can they come out with that as an everyday ink? That would make me so happy. Like, why must we deal with such weird fountain pen colors in the everyday ink collection? Give me like this pale tealy medium blue that is so pretty because I've seen writing samples of it in store. I would like that in a
Hmm.
fountain pen ink. I don't want electric orange. When am I
It
going
was
to use electric orange?
there was I think Mayan blue that was pretty nice,
Oh,
which they
it's
have
so
not brought
pretty.
back. And then
Yeah.
the Egyptian blue, they only brought it back as part of that very expensive set, which also
Hmm.
didn't make sense to me.
Egyptian blue was really pretty though.
Yeah. So let's hope there's going to be more blues. We'll
And
see.
I would like more, like, I would really like if they released something similar to Egyptian blue again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've become a big fan of Waterman inks in the past like 72 hours. So,
Oh, did you get
you
all of them?
know, no, I got one of them because I wanted it for my Heinz Tory pen with the crazy nib from Pensloth
Mm-hmm.
because he was pretty sure that was the ink he'd put in the pen when he'd originally inked it, and nothing had given me as crisp lines as that ink. So I bought a bottle in Philly. And I've now discovered I want them all. And there's no Waterman dealer here. And so I
No.
can't get them all. And so I have to wait until the next time I'm in the States to get them all.
Yeah.
But they like the crispness of these lines compared with this pen compared to other stuff that I've been running in this pen, where it's been fine. Like the lines haven't been bad, but they're just like not completely sharp. Whereas this ink, it is completely sharp. It is so nice.
There's an older formulation of their tealy blue, those turquoisey, I think, blue.
Mhm.
That is very, very nice. I have a bottle somewhere that I bought because I got that and the brown, because the brown they have not released in a long time.
Yeah.
And those two are great. But from the whatever they have in now, purple is my favorite.
So I only got Serenity Blue.
Hmm. Well, I have it too. It's very good. I mean, it's
We
like,
have a Kari.
hi,
Oh my gosh. So
welcome
sorry.
back.
I have my brain exploding a little bit with all these words coming in a different language.
So I
What's up,
would
guys?
I would check Gold Spot. See if it's in gold stock at Gold Spot. Gold
Yeah,
Spot tends to have the Waterman inks in stock.
yeah, yeah. We're just talking inks and like all the stuff. We talked a little bit about gatekeeping in the community.
We did.
It's not a lot of it, but we kind of experienced it a little.
But I would say the gatekeeping this year has just been odd. Like it hasn't been like the normal pen world gatekeeping of like hiding information. It's just been like stupid gatekeeping where I'm like, are we really doing this? Are we 10?
You shall not have a Chinese pen. That type of thing, you know. It's just like sure, but then you're just starting out with the fountain pens, and you can't buy an Italian made pen for 200 plus.
No.
You're probably not going to.
Waterman is in stock with Serenity Blue, Tender Purple, the black, Inspired Blue, a green, a red, and Mysterious Blue is out of stock. Atlas has like almost all the colors in both bottle and cartridge.
How
So,
long does anyone know how long the brown has been out? Like it's been as long as I remember, years for now. Like they have not had the brown.
so this was like the big news in the pen world when I first started to get into it in like 2023
Mm-hmm.
was that the brown was gone from shelves.
Oh,
And so that's a
Is that a
long
supply
time.
chain thing?
Honestly, I think it's probably a pigment thing, but also like discontinuing colors that just didn't sell as well, if
Mm.
I had to guess.
mm.
Um,
For
I like
Waterman specifically?
for Waterman's, well, other brands discontinue colors fair like think about how often Ferris Wheel Press discontinues colors.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Colors come in, colors disappear. There's a pretty endless section of things in the clearance section.
mm.
And then there was a rumor about Toffee Brown being discontinued as well at some point from Mont Blanc.
Well, Mont Blanc Toffee brand was out of stock for a really long time. Like I could not get a bottle here for probably 10 months. Eventually, Claire and Peter found a bottle at their local Mont Blanc,
Mm-hmm.
and I got it through them. But both that and Pop Pink were off of shelves for a very long time.
Mm.
And I think we're just seeing like brands are allocating lines to products that are selling. There's no reason for. I don't have the sales figures for a brown ink, but I can't think they're very high.
I mean, there's some people who are really like that. There is like Kobe has those inks. There's so many browns. I feel like, oh my God.
But it's a very niche thing. Like, I don't see a normal person buying a brown ink.
The pigment inks that I have many sepia kind of levels. I have but they are pigmented inks. So
yeah, they're waterproof. And waterproof is a whole different story. But like, if we're talking about base colors, when I'm talking to my regular friends who are not into the pen world and are not into like the fancy gel pen world, because as we discussed with Pen Addict Brad, if you are really particular about your gel pen or your pen, you are probably closer to being a fountain pen person than you want to admit. If you yeah, or if you aren't one of those people, though, my friends who aren't pen people tend to just use red, blue, or black.
That's it.
So I don't know how much brown and colors like that would sell as an ink if you're not a pen person. And if your option is produce a whole bunch of blue ink or produce this sort of niche color that is going to sell but is going to only sell to a small percentage of the community,
right,
I think most brands would probably produce the blue that's going to sell to pretty much everyone.
And that was Aurora for a long time. They only had blue, black, and blue, black.
Yeah. Well, Pilot, Quink. Blue,
Parker.
Blue, black. Sorry, Parker. Yeah, thank you. My brain is really tired. And the funny thing is, I'm looking at a bottle of brown Parker Quink, which was not helping the whole thing of figuring out what I was talking about.
I have a Schaefer sepia. I think it's one of my oldest ink.
Oh.
Yeah, like I feel like most pen people are pretty picky about our ink choices. We know what we like.
Yeah.
But
if somebody's looking for a brown that it's not discontinued in the high-end kind of ink, the Graf Von Faber-Castell have a brown that is called cognac brown, and it's very nice brown. So cognac brown by Graf von Faber-Castell is not discontinued. I've seen it. And that ink for certain is the best brown I had in my collection. It's like beautiful.
Those are good inks. I only have one, which is olive, but I definitely would want to get more.
Yeah, the one thing to note about the Graf von Faber-Castell is that they are waterproof, and so if you put it in a pen, they are.
The one that I have, no,
they are okay. Sorry, they are marketed as being indelible and waterproof and fade resistant, and so
no idea.
They're similar to an India ink, and so you can't let them sit in pens long term. They are lovely inks. I love the ones I have, but you do have to use regular pen maintenance if you're using them, because they are technically pigmented inks and they are going to damage your pen if they dry out in them significantly.
So before the brand name was mentioned, if you would tell me all of this, the brand I associate all of this information with is Pilot in my brain, because all of that, I'm sorry, Platinum. Because all of their inks basically are waterproof.
Yep. And I would say, all their carbon inks And I would say I have the same, like, it sort of treads the same waterproof, the Carbon Black and any of the Graf von Faber-Castell. They are, I find them to be waterproof. Are they the most waterproof inks I own? No. But they sort of lift off the page, you lose a little bit of ink, and then, you have whatever left. But they are one of those inks that when I ink them up in a pen, I pay attention to the fact that I've inked them up, because you don't want them sitting in a pen long term.
Mm-hmm.
If you want a non-waterproof option, Mont Blanc Toffee Brown, but it's hit or miss finding it in stock. It's really pretty though. I'm like, do I have any other brands I like? All my Ferris Wheel Press brands I like, I think, have been discontinued.
Mm.
Yeah, probably. They do small batches of ink. Ferris Wheel Press, they don't repeat the same formula.
Yeah, I really liked Writing Desk from Wonder Pens. I really liked Oyster Hour.
Oh, Oyster Hour. That's an oldie, but a goodie.
I guess my favorite new brown is Navaler Saddle Amber, which is brand
very
new.
nice.
It's really pretty. I have it in a pen currently. It makes me very happy. And I suspect, because it is the release for Year of the Horse, I will probably end up getting another bottle before the year is out. It's also the first new ink in the Explorer line in like 3 years, maybe. I think the last time there was a new ink was like 2024, late 2023. So it was a nice thing to see a non-Robert Oster ink appear.
Yeah. There is a brown ink from Monteverde that is called Scotch Brown. There are many browns in Monteverde line. They tend to have like a pigment that will feather, I will say, the pages. So you have to be careful. I use them in extra fine nibs, because that's the only way that I found that it doesn't make a mess when I do it. The same with Private Reserve and Conkling. They offer brown. They have the ebony brown.
So the Private Reserve Fast Dry Chocolate, that's a great brown.
I like the color.
I love it. I've had it inked up a couple times. It does dry really quickly, so you can't leave the pen uncapped, but it is really pretty, and it doesn't feather or anything. Apparently, Oyster Hour is in clearance at Ferris Wheel Press.
Very nice.
So if you wanted a bottle, it is one of my favorite browns. I suspect, based on where David is located, this is the US site. So I can check the Canadian site and see if it's still up.
And Delirium offer also a couple of browns that are really beautiful. I don't remember exactly the names, but I could look for those in my folder really quick.
Someone has mentioned the
SBRE
which
brown.
I like it too.
This one, it's from J. Herbin. This one is Lié d'été. Lié d'été, it's a nice brown from Herbin.
So the Esbrie brown is an interesting one, because I've had only best experience, but William here tells me that his is dry, so he has a different batch.
I have had a great time with it. I've only had a sample of it. I've never been able to find a bottle of it in stock, but I am on the hunt for one, because I love the color. I think it would be the first bottle of their ink that I'd actually own, because it's a big, it's a big bottle to commit to.
This one too. Russet Typecase by Ferris Wheel Press. There are some shimmers though. Robert Oster, in 2021, the Dutch Pen Show released a brown ink by Robert Oster. It's called Bruin Ink.
Nice.
It's by
Yeah,
Robert Oster.
Robert Oster is such an interesting and weird company.
Oh, and Robert Oster also has like a greenish brown, which is Gold Antiqua.
They have some very good greenish inks, I feel
Yeah,
like.
this one is the Andelirium that I said, which is the Tulip Moth,
Brown.
yeah, worms.
Yeah, they have some good stuff.
Oh, Shepherd's Script. This one is the sepia that I was saying. This is one of my oldest ink. Monteverde Scotch Brown, Monteverde Honey
Visconti
Red,
used to have a good brown too. And that's
Brown Sugar. A Private Reserve also has a, yeah, Andelirium Atlas Moss Brown. That's another Andelirium. And Rich Mahogany by Conklin. So those are the browns.
Yeah. Yeah, I still need to get some inks by Andrew. No, I do have one. I actually have it here. I just got it not too long ago, and I really like it. Cuttlefish brown.
I like the Andorilium inks.
So I feel like that's my game plan for San Francisco Stationery Fest, because Papermind guy is going to be there. And so he had collaboration inks with Andorilium, and one of them is green, and I'm very curious about that one. So I might be getting it. We'll see. And there, who else? Oh, our friend Julia. Julia here has a collaboration ink apparently with Robert Oster, and it looks pretty good.
I thought it was sold out.
Yeah, it was one of those kind of risky colors. It's like pinkish brown. I don't know. But it's like when you go for that, a lot of times it can come out a little too light. But I've seen several swatches, and Galen just swatched on her channel, and it looks very good. So, yeah, it's like vintagey, I guess, pink. That's how I couldn't describe it. Vintage pink, brown, purple, I guess.
So this one is by Sailor, and this one is called Kokoroguma. It was from the collection that is the color changing. So this one is kind of like a, I would say when you put it, it's like a brown, but then it shifts to a purplish brown. But it starts like a brown. And Kokoroguma, Kokoroguma. And Sukugokoro, the same thing. It starts with brown and then it shifts like with a green thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
I was going to link Julia's ink, but it is sold out.
Oh, that was fast.
That's good.
I was thinking I'd seen something on the Endless Instagram about it already being sold out, and it is a very pretty color.
Yeah,
I
feel like
love
if you
Robert
want a support
Oster
person, and it's so much kind of easier to support by buying an ink. It's pens are a bit more of an investment, but the ink is spot on.
And I think there's something fun about an ink in the sense that an ink that's been designed by somebody, you sort of get to see part of their personality. Like when I see other friends' inks that they've done with different brands, you get to see like what they have managed to dream up, like, and what they want to make. And I sort of love that because it's always so interesting. When are you three going to collab with Robert Oster? I am probably never going to collab with Robert Oster. My hatred of Robert Oster is quite well known because I have had a number of inks swatch different colors week to week in pens, completely change colors in pens. And their batch inconsistency really pisses me off. Batch inconsistency for anyone really pisses me off.
Right.
But at least when Ferris Wheel Press had a batch of Storied Blue that was green, they sent out replacement bottles.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got a bottle from Robert Oster that was supposed to be a dark blue and was instead a purple, a pale purple at that, I instead felt like I was being gaslit. So it will never happen.
Oh.
Well, how about
I don't know about the other two, but it's never gonna happen for
we
me.
could maybe do
Yeah.
Andurilium.
Yeah, and Andurilium, Tono and Limbs, like there Pannonia, there are so many great ink brands out there.
Yeah.
And I would rather work with a brand that has a more consistent formula, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, like you have to have a perfect condition environmentally to create, and the pigment too. Same with watercolor. I imagine Marina can tell this.
Yeah, no, I always
Pigment can react differently depending on the maker.
yeah. No, it's where in the world you are, and it's just it's just so many things, and people don't think about these things when they just use inks or watercolors in our case too, what goes into making them. So,
like
yeah.
I could see doing something with Tono and Limbs, because when I did my inks with them at whatever it was, DC, it was a great experience. It was super fun. He is so knowledgeable about pigment numbers, and the way both of our brains worked meant that even though he speaks Korean and I speak English, we were talking pigment numbers to each other, and because pigment numbers are universal, it didn't matter that neither of us spoke each other's language.
Yeah.
Because we were talking pigment numbers, and that's just the same worldwide. I could see myself doing something with them because I think they are very detail oriented.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. We'll see. I'm always open to working on projects, but also I sort of don't feel the need to get super stressed out about projects. There's a lot of other things going on. And so
it would be
see
nice
what happens.
to see.
But we're coming on 2 years of Desk Chatter this year, so
celebration.
We need an ink, huh?
Yeah, we took a little pause. My fault.
Yeah, no, I saw the comment on shipping conditions. It's true, and that's what I said.
Yeah.
Like Beryllium is at least it's on the continent, so.
Yeah, and I would say that like shipping ink is, from everything I've learned, really only an issue in the winter.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, because it can freeze.
Because it can freeze.
And
yeah.
And so depending on when you're shipping, you're fine. You don't really have an issue. But there are huge parts of the year. Like, the funny thing is, I don't know if Kari's looked into this recently, but I went to spend points at Ferris Wheel Press. I had a bunch of points to spend. I wanted to spend them, only to discover that I was not eligible to place an order. Because they will not ship to me until after a certain date. The funny thing, so I can submit a request to override this system. The funny thing is, they are still sending me Jubilee packages. So I cannot place an order, but they will send me PR.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
because
I feel like there's a disconnect.
I know. We don't ship in a country that has a temperature of -20 in February.
I want to say the earliest shipping date it was giving me was like sometime in like early April. And I was like, okay, but you send me a PR package once a month. Can we just like toss this stuff into that package?
The last box that I received was so big, and then start pulling out those things that they pull, like, and
I think they must have been out of small
with
boxes.
a little ink inside.
There is no unboxing video
I had this experience with Esterbrook.
for this month.
I ordered, I think it was like a vintage nib holder thing and a pen thing. Wait. My one favorite thing from Esterbrook, I don't know if I have it on me here, but it's like one of those pen sleeves that they came out with the Superior Labor. And the box it was this big. And I was like, they must have run out of boxes.
Yeah.
I
But
got
it.
an 8-inch by 8-inch box this month.
Yeah.
So normally I get like the 6-inch boxes, which is great. I keep them and I reuse them for packing other things and sending out card orders.
Mm-hmm.
It meant that when I sent out orders this year for Christmas, I didn't buy any new packaging. I just, sent out packaging I already had. I got an 8-inch by 8-inch by 8-inch box this month. So there's no unboxing video of this month's package because it didn't fit on my desk in frame. And it was so absurd size-wise that I was just like, I can't do this. I will say the packing the past 2 months has been better. I have had mine like hard packed in with really tightly compacted paper so that nothing can move. So previously it was like the brown wrapping paper and like stuff could move around. This is like stuff that seems to have been molded to the packaging and so nothing moves.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see if that sticks around or if that's something they're only doing for the winter.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to ask because I keep on thinking about it. So if we had our own ink, would it be brown? Because it's the death chatter?
Well, there is a little bit of a question around the pen show here in Montreal, and they have a theme, and the theme of the show is related to the building that they are. The building inside is made of wood, so I thought, are they going to make a brown ink for this Scriven show? I don't know. Anyways, would we do a brown ink if we have to collaborate?
His desk.
I feel
we
like
can see
I would.
Alexandra's desk.
I am a brown ink, a brown journal person.
If it was just me, I would do something brown but atrociously sparkly.
Oh, totally.
Like I'm talking as I grab this stack of swatch cards. Like I want atrociously sparkly, but
brown with the gold sheen.
I would love a brown with a. I don't
want sheening. I just want, I guess it can sheen. I just want atrociously sparkly. Like every color of glitter you can throw into this ink, I want in this ink. I want this ink to basically not run in a fountain pen. I want it to be atrociously sparkly.
You need to put that in the vintage pen, man. That's gonna.
Yes, you get the vibe. It's like the shimmer is all the ink stains on the desk.
Wow.
I had somebody last week ask me why my desk was covered with a cork board and why you can no longer see the top of my desk. And then I spilled an ink sample on my desk last week and was reminded of why you can no longer see the top of my desk. IKEA cork boards are a lot cheaper to replace than desktops.
Girl.
Like a lot cheaper.
Oh, Birmingham. Oh, they have good inks. Maple
Leaf Twinkle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're one of those that their batches are very different from one.
They are.
So.
I would completely do like a brown that is a kind of a reddish brown because I like this fall situation, maybe a mix between brown and red, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't want the very dark
No,
brown.
no. Dark brown, no.
Yeah,
No.
no, something fun.
Fun and colorful with shading, like
Yeah.
right in.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, where's a cola ring?
It's happening. We're making an ink. Not really, but sort of.
Like, okay. I like sesame oil. What I didn't like about sesame oil is that my bottle went moldy really fast.
Oh,
Oh,
So I
yeah.
only got to ink it up once, which is
Mm.
really sad because A, lead and toolbar inks are really expensive, and B, it was such a pretty color. But like that, but sparkly, that would be
well,
pretty.
that would be a nice color. I agree.
Because it's got some nice shading to it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very pretty. And I'm
Yeah, I guess.
sure we could formulate a better ink formulation than whatever they're using. Because as soon as I complained that my bottle went moldy, I had like a dozen texts from people.
Mm.
And I was like, what do you mean that you've all had the same issue and none of you are talking about the fact that you've all had the same issue?
I feel like we'll
Yeah.
need to have people from Andrelium on to talk.
Yes.
Extra dimensional ember is also,
Oh,
as
yes.
Yeah.
Gizmo Geek has
That
said,
was mentioned.
very pretty.
Yes.
Mhm.
Very nice. I
Yeah.
like. I would love to have a shimmer that is not gold, like a kind of like a reddish shimmer or
No, that's the
purple.
vibe of this, which is every color of shimmer.
Yeah,
I want a
I
whole
like
bunch of
Want
different
that.
I
colors
like that.
in this
Let's
brown ink.
do it. Anniversary. This
No.
chatter anniversary ink.
Sounds that's going to be a very dangerous episode if we have them on.
It
Because
is
I'm like,
color.
who can we bug about this?
Oh, we need to find somebody that will make this ink.
yeah. So if you guys know anyone in the chat, send them our way.
Yeah.
Want to talk on camera about it?
Or off camera, because
Yep.
I think I will totally go with diamine because diamine is one of is super underrated. The fact that they do have lots of brown inks
They do.
in
And
diamine.
they supply
We
a lot
did
of
not
places.
mention any brown. The one brown that I had it like long time ago, and I think I gave it away. Is that they released this music kind of a box with all
Yeah.
the music. The
Mhm.
color called Strauss. That's the brown reddish that I like.
Mhm.
And I gave it away because I have so many browns, and I say, okay, I need to clean. I put myself, in those project pan situation, and I said I need to finish these inks that I have like little amount, and I did. I have cleaned and cleared. I am so proud of myself. Look, this
Nice.
this was my last clear.
Nice.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I have 2 on the go. These are like Vinta. I am low in those ones too.
But those are evaporating anyway, from what I've heard from you. So you're gonna get through them soon.
I know. And this one is the Graf von Faber that I actually stood up to get it. I don't think it is water resistance because when I mess up with water, it will be gone.
Those are nice bottles. I like their bottles.
Oh, the bottles are really nice. I don't see that it's pigmented. Like, for example, the other inks that I have, the pigmented inks, you see the pigment there, but this one is very liquidy. So I don't know. Maybe it's like somehow resistance, but maybe not waterproof completely. For certain, it's not waterproof, but maybe it's my bottle.
Could they have like 2 types?
I don't know.
Well, all the Graf von Faber-Castell ink is marketed as being waterproof. Because they're very specific about this
Mm.
when you're doing anything with them, is that the ink is waterproof. It's an India ink, and it can't be left in pens long term. Like,
Mm.
it's like any waterproof ink. Like, you wanna make sure you're doing proper pen maintenance.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That being said, like, the bottles I've always shaken the most have been like, I always shake waterproof ink bottles, like, stuff settles out.
Mm-mm.
And so I find that if I don't shake my waterproof ink, even my Sailor waterproof ink, it is significantly less waterproof.
Mhm.
And so that could
I have this ink in a Delta pen and never clogged and clears really, really well. I never had any residue in the, sometimes when you have a pigmented ink, it will actually leave the color of the ink in the cartridge and the converter.
yeah.
This one doesn't leave any residue. It cleans really, really fast. And that Delta I haven't cleaned very often and I never had any issue. That's why it's like maybe it's the quality of the ink or somehow, but or is it different in this bottle specifically? But
I don't know. I've always liked my products that they make. They're
mm,
a nice
they are
ink.
expensive compared
Yeah.
to other inks.
But price per mil, they're not that bad.
No,
Like,
not bad. I like the bottle. I like the.
So the current Dash had the organic brown that I was interested in as well.
Mm,
And that is also
like,
expensive.
that's another expensive ink.
Mhm.
it's a 75 mil bottle for $44 Canadian,
Mm,
Not bad.
which
not bad.
really isn't bad at all.
Yeah.
And they're a very pretty bottle.
Oh,
Yeah.
you put this one like there. It's like really nice.
Yeah.
I don't keep the packaging though for some of the inks because I don't have space. I only keep packagings for these ones.
Mhm.
But the other inks I don't. I like inks. Sometimes I save the bottles like this one, the square one that has a little thing there to wash the calligraphy pens.
Ah.
Ah.
Nice.
So sometimes I use to when I'm on the go, when we have a watercolor, I bring this little bottle inside and then it's like easy to carry too.
Yeah. So that's our unexpected turn towards inks from where we started today.
Okay, let's talk about inks.
Yeah.
I don't even remember where we started. We started with gatekeeping.
Gatekeeping was the big topic of today. So, but that didn't last too long. We did talk about a lot of it, and it's just like from personal experiences, I have not experienced that much gatekeeping, but I think I've experienced like purism. That's kind of more of that. I'm only gonna buy this, and I'm never gonna buy that. Which it's fair if you have funds to do so, but if you want someone else to do it, that's not very fair.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all it is. All right, you guys, we're like nearing the 2-hour mark here. So is there anything else anyone has in the chat they want to ask or talk about?
I am so close to finishing 2-3 bottles of ink right now. Like, I am very, very close.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Not at all. It's a lot of, and also I'm the person with a lot of browns. I think this is the Art Nouveau ink mahogany brown from, what is it, Kuretake? That's the recent brown I had.
Oh,
Somebody told me about the Kuretake Art Nouveau because I've been into this art situation that I started collecting stickers from a mix of Art Nouveau and mix of Art Deco, and two different kind of architectural features and art. And they say, "Oh, you need to buy the Kuretake thing."
It's nice. Yeah, I think is it Blick now carrying them too? Oh, I don't
Biscuit.
think so.
Yeah.
And this is not a big bottle, honestly. I don't know how big it is.
Is it like a regular
20.
ink, or they have shimmer, or is
It
it
says
like
20 gram. It's a regular ink.
Mm.
So it's not a lot of ink. You can get through it.
Yeah.
Well, this was a lovely first episode back.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for
So
everyone who
good.
joined. And it's quite a bit of people, which is always nice to see.
Yeah.
And so good to see you.
Yeah.
All late, but here. Sorry for the late.
It's fine.
All good.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.